Welcome in. It is day 189, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going back into an old classic. Now, the box may not show you anything when it comes to this game, but the game is cribbage. So I have a nice custom cribbage setup here. Really good board insert with a really nice box here. I was really into cribbage when I first got into my post-college gaming. And the reason being was we started off with Catan, a little bit of Ticket to Ride. We didn't have a lot of games. And cribbage was an oldie but a goodie that we just all really liked. And it was one of those games that we could play in, 5-10 minutes. So, uh, depending. I mean, we would occasionally play the full, game through and it would take us 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But we would fly and sometimes we'd just play a couple rounds. We were a lot of us were learning the game while others were really experienced and had played since they were kids. So it was back and forth. But it was one of those games that was an easy fill-in for time, and that you didn't have to be a big gamer to play. Now, for those of you who don't understand what cribbage is, you get dealt out a hand of cards, and you essentially are trying to figure out how to make groups of 15. You're trying to figure out how to do runs, and you're going to one by one be playing cards around the board, and that allows you to move your pip. And then afterwards, you do a card counting hand where you show off what it is that you have for your group of cards along with the shared card. And you basically just keep going until somebody hits 120. And you're hoping during the game, obviously, to win. But the real fun of the game is because it's about repetitive play, it's really about those standout games. A game where you skunk somebody, that's where you beat them by at least 30. You double skunk somebody, you beat them by at least 60. You triple skunk somebody, which is basically impossible, you beat them by 90. Now, in my life, I've been skunked many a times, double skunked on occasion. I have, to my credit, two unique games. One game, I triple skunked somebody. Don't know how I did so well, but basically, I had insane amounts of just good cards. You get things like 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I have a run. 7, 8 adds to 15. This adds to 15. Now you flip the cards. This 7 with that 8. This 7 with that 8. Another 15. Another 15. You get points like this. But you have a shared card, and then you also have your group of cards that are going to be from everybody's discard, and that also plays. And if you get really lucky, you can basically, between your shared cards and your regular cards, when you're the one up, you could hit a lot of points. And I had a game where I just had my opponent did really bad in 3 hands, and I hit it, and then I hit it again, and I got all the cards hitting correctly for me, and it was just insane. I also double skunked 2 players in a 3-player game, which is another one that's impossible, but it pulled off. Now, this is 2 games that were my best 2 games ever played out of thousands and thousands and thousands of games. I mean, when we were playing this game 10 times a night. And we at one point were playing this game I was probably playing 100 games a week between family, friends, and game group. I was just playing cribbage all the time. It was my most played game. Even friends who were from my poker group would play cribbage with me while we were waiting for poker people to show up. It was just a game that was really hot for me for a good 10 years. So that being said, let's jump into our 7 categories and let's judge this game today and see where this lands. When it comes to the art, now, of course, this is not a board we're going to be judging on because this box it's not meant to advertise the game. This box is because I was an extremely regular player. I wanted to get something nice to take my game around in. I picked up this box. But the average box, they're fine. There's nothing necessarily great or bad about them. Cribbage kind of sells itself, so you don't necessarily even need a box. A lot of times you'll go and you'll just find that they're selling the board by itself. You go buy your cards separately. As far as the boards go, there's many different styles. You can get your classic, just a straight board. You can get the wider board. You can get the ones that are like figure eights. There's all sorts of styles to go with. I don't think that the art is necessarily great, but it's also abstract in the way it's kind of set up, and it's really up to eye of the beholder in that way. But I am going to say that I don't think somebody who doesn't know what cribbage is would ever be pulled to a game like this because none of the boxes do that. So I will give it a thumbs down. Components. So your components are essentially the board. You could say the cards, but the cards are really separate. You just keep replacing cards because it's just decks of cards. I have gone through dozens of decks of cards at my boards. And then there's the little pips that you're using on the board, which are little plastic pieces. Sometimes you get wooden ones. They're all fine. It's a thumbs up. Your price. Now, I probably dropped like 60, 70 bucks on this really nice box and board, but the average board you can get for somewhere in that $20 to $30 range. You might even find some boards if you want to go like cheap and get plastic that are only like, 15 bucks. But I suggest, whatever you design, whether it's the straight board, the wider board, or the figure eight board, or, sometimes there's all sorts of figurations of the board. It's all the same. It's just 120 spaces. Whatever you want to get, just make sure it's wooden. As long as it's wooden, you're good. I think that the average game, its components and everything that go with it are good for its price. It's a thumbs up. Your difficulty. This game is so easy to learn. I was a major newbie and I picked it up on the first night. I know many people who I would consider to be novices in the gaming world who can play this game either well enough to compete or really well and outplay even me. So I think this is a game that allows you for beginner and for kids, and definitely for those experienced and expert players. It's one of those games that helps train you. You play it in your off time. It's a thumbs up. When it comes to the replayability, this game is 100% about the replayability. You're going to play this game dozens of times in a night. You're going to play this game on a regular daily basis. This is a game you can play 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. I think this game is fantastic. Replayability, huge thumbs up. Your keys to victory. So this is where it's interesting because you get dealt the cards. Then of the cards, you pick one you don't want, you throw it to the middle. That's how you make what's going to be your extra hand for the dealer. And then using the cards you have, you're going to play those into the center one at a time. No, play them in front of you, not to the center, allowing you to do the setup for additional points before you then reveal your hands for actual hand points. So when it comes to those keys to victory, you do have the availability to choose the card for your hand. So you might decide to risk it and to get rid of a card that's going to weaken your hand for the hopes of it making a better crib, which is what the center's called, if you're the one in charge of it, or to hurt someone's crib. If you're sitting there and your hand is best to give up a 5, you probably don't want to throw a 5 in the center because the odds are there's going to be a lot of 10s in there and you're going to end up giving a lot of 15s away. And those are 2 points apiece. So you might end up taking the hit of taking the 5 and sacrificing points in your hand to try to make sure that that center is not really good. Because sometimes what happens is a bunch of people get these random cards that they go, it's a really good card, but it doesn't fit my hand. They all get rid of them. The next thing you know, person flips the center over there like, oh my God, I got all the 5s. You're getting points for every 15 you make, customly made. So 5s are 3, 3, 3, 3. So that's 4 15s. Plus, it's going to be for, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus, it's going to be for repair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is another 2 points. All of a sudden, you've got 20 points just in those in the middle. Never mind whatever that extra card is. If you have a 10 in there, now you're tossing in another 8 points. It adds up quick. So that's an option. And then there's also prepping for your playing on the board. You might say, I'm going to commit to keeping a certain card or getting rid of a certain card to make sure that I'm not easily sitting up the person who's in good position to hit 15, stuff like that. Or you want to have options to try to add up and get to a 15, or make the run option, or the way you play your cards. So there is keys to victory. They are there. I don't think there's a vast amount of them, but they're there. I'll give it a thumbs up. Finally, is it unique? You want to take cribbage and compare it to a game like Spades or Hearts because that's kind of the category of games this gets played with. Those are trick taking. This is a very unique game. I've actually never found another card game that plays quite like cribbage, and that's really impressive because I play lots of card games. I own books on thousands of card games. I try to learn different poker games and different trick taking games, and I've just never seen one quite like this again. So I'm sure there's one out there. There are games I've heard of, but I've never really had a chance to play. I've never played bridge, for instance, so who knows? Maybe bridge is comparable to this, but for me, cribbage is a unique game. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Overall, what do I think? Cribbage is a must play for everybody. I don't care if you're a gamer or not. Cribbage is a game that can easily be played and that you should always know how to play so you can play with anybody that you meet. Outside of that, should you own one? I think every household should have a cribbage board. Parents, kids, friends, family, game group, not game group, doesn't matter. Everybody can enjoy a game of cribbage. Go get it. Well, it has been day 189. We've been speaking about the game cribbage. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll toss up a couple options for cribbage boards for you up on my Amazon link in case you're interested in getting one of them. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.